World Health Organization, WHO, has declared an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo's eastern Ituri province a public health emergency of international concern. The agency added that the outbreak, with around 246 suspected cases and 80 deaths reported, does not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency.
Mixed martial arts. MMA star Ronda Rousey has retired again after demolishing fellow combat sports trailblazer Gina Carano in their long-awaited non-title comeback bout in Los Angeles, defeating her rival by armbar after just 17 seconds. After a hype-filled build-up, the bout on Saturday was a jarring anticlimax, with Rousey Carano almost immediately before wrestling her into an armbar to end the fight. The Inter-Services Public Relations on Sunday took exception to the Indian Army Chief's recent provocative remarks and cautioned New Delhi against pushing South Asia towards another conflict with devastating consequences for the region. Indian COAS gave a provocative statement during a recent interview that Pakistan should decide if it desired to be part of geography and history. ISPIR noted in a statement issued in response to Indian Army Chief Jenupendra Dwivedi's comments made a day earlier.
Nigel Farage represents the latest populist spectre to haunt an established democracy, the United Kingdom, UK. He serves as a primary case study in how a populist can be manufactured to disrupt the status quo. Originally a member of the centre-right Conservative Party, Farage broke away in 1992 to co-found the UK Independence Party, UKIP. He steered the movement toward a staunchly Eurosceptic and anti-immigration platform. By 2014, he had successfully pressured the government into holding a referendum on UK's membership of the European Union, EU. UKIP campaigned for the Leave option. To the shock of the country's establishment parties, 51. 89% of the electorate voted for the UK to exit the EU, referred to as Brexit, catapulting Farage from the far-right fringes into the national mainstream.
During US President Donald Trump's visit to China, the concept of the Thucydides trap, invoked by Chinese President Xi Jinping, drew the attention of Western strategic circles. Many observers saw the remark as a subtle indication that China is now more willing to acknowledge its emergence as a global power. For nearly a decade, Beijing carefully avoided projecting itself as a challenger to the international order, cultivating instead the image of a leader of the global south and a partner of developing economies. If that posture is shifting, the implications could be profound for global politics and for countries like Pakistan, positioned at the intersection of great power competition, economic dependency and regional strategic realignment.
Pakistan's successful debut in China's onshore bond market through the issuance of its first-ever panda bond is undoubtedly an important financial milestone, raising RMB 1.75 billion at a remarkably low 5% coupon, far below the cost of Pakistan's conventional external borrowing, reflects improving investor sentiment towards the country's macroeconomic stability. The more than 5 times oversubscription also signals that international investors, particularly Chinese investors, are once again willing to engage with Pakistan after years of economic obtuseness. Khurram Shekhzad, advisor to the Finance Ministry, wrote on X, the landmark panda bond issuance attracted overwhelming investor demand of over RMB 8.8 BN, 126 BN, resulting in oversubscription of more than 5 times. Importantly, he said, the demand for the inaugural tranche alone exceeded Pakistan's entire planned panda bond program size of RMB 7.2 BN, 1 BN equivalent, a powerful reflection of growing international investor confidence in Pakistan's economic outlook and reform trajectory.
IT was 2016. We at RSL routinely studied all major disputes and issues between India and Pakistan. Kashmir, Sir Creek, Siam, the Indus Waters Treaty, Samjhauta Express, Babri Masjid, Junagadh, etc. Each issue had a dominant legal dimension that required sustained research. Following the Mumbai attacks in 2008, Bilateral bitterness was still on the rise as the trials of suspects Zia-ur-Rehman Lakhvi on the Pakistani side and Ajmal Kasab in India were not well managed. Both states, instead of cooperating, were actively denying each other access to the suspects, the investigation, and even the cross-examination of witnesses.
World Health Organization on Sunday declared an Ebola outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo and Uganda a public health emergency of international concern, posing risks to neighboring countries. The WHO said the outbreak, caused by the Bundibugyo strain of the virus, does not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency, but that countries sharing land borders with DRC are at high risk for further spread. Emboldened by its successful wartime blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, Iran is turning to one of the hidden arteries in the global economy, subsea cables beneath the waterway that carry vast internet and financial traffic between Europe, Asia and the Persian Gulf. The Islamic Republic wants to charge the world's largest tech companies for using the subsea internet cables laid under the Strait of Hormuz, and state-linked media outlets have vaguely threatened that traffic could be disrupted if firms don't pay. Lawmakers in Tehran discussed a plan last week which could target submarine cables linking Arab countries to Europe and Asia.
Rules that stopgap arrangements cannot continue indefinitely rejects Pakistan Railways' appeal against FST promotion ruling Islamabad. The Supreme Court has ruled that prolonged ad hoc, look after, current acting or additional charge postings amount to exploitation that not only is egregious but also frustrates the spirit of service laws.
The Beijing summit between US President Donald Trump and his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping was never likely to produce a grand result. Too much mistrust has accumulated, and the disputes dividing Washington and Beijing now extend far beyond tariffs. Yet the meeting still mattered because both sides met with an interest in preventing relations from becoming even more volatile at a moment of widening global instability. The summit's economic outcomes were limited but not insignificant.
Peshawar. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Governor Faisal Karim Kundi on Saturday approved the summary and signed the notification for the induction of 18 new cabinet members sent by the Office of Chief Minister Sohail Afridi. An official statement issued by Governor's House said the governor approved the summary for the expansion of the provincial cabinet.
Wakas Akram insists difference of opinion part of political process. Rejects social media campaign against party. Insiders complain about lack of unified strategy amid multiple centres of influence Islamabad. Amid reports of internal rifts, leadership crisis and serious differences within the Pakistan Tehreek-i-Insaf (PTI) over its policies, the party has stressed that its leadership, workers and parliamentary representatives remain united behind the party's founding chairman Imran Khan.
Lakhvi lands in Tehran to promote regional peace, facilitate talks. Dar speaks to Uzbek counterpart. Aragchi says Iran does not trust the US at all due to contradictory messages. Iran's UN envoy blames Hormuz disruptions on aggressors amid claims of Europe's request for transit. Putin, UAE president, discussed the Iran conflict in phone call. Islamabad. Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi landed in Tehran on a previously unannounced two-day visit, which diplomatic sources said was linked to Pakistan's continuing efforts to revive the stalled Iran-US peace process after President Donald Trump rejected Tehran's latest response to American proposals.
A humpback whale rescued after beaching itself in Germany has been found dead near a Danish island. The whale was first spotted stuck on a sandbank on the 23rd of March off the island of Pehel on Germany's Baltic coast. Hezbollah has increased its use of small first-person view (FPV) drones to attack Israel, including systems controlled by fibre optic cables to evade sophisticated defences. BBC Verify has geolocated 35 videos shared by the Lebanese armed group since the 26th of March, which show strikes on Israeli soldiers, armoured vehicles and air defence systems in southern Lebanon and northern Israel. Military and law enforcement clashed with demonstrators outside La Paz, Bolivia, in an attempt to clear roadways that had been blocked as part of nationwide anti-government protests. As many as 3,500 soldiers and police were deployed as part of the operation that began in the early hours of Saturday. Around 57 people were arrested, according to the Citizens' Rights Ombudsman's office. A few days ago, the manager of the building where CNN's Havana bureau is located rapped on our door with an urgent message. She needed to know if we would be coming to work during the imminent US invasion. Washington's intense pressure campaign on Cuba had already been keenly felt in day-to-day life. Under the ongoing US oil blockade, power flickers off in our offices several times a day. The compounding economic crisis means there's no fuel for the building generator or even toilet paper for the bathrooms. Every day I walk past an enormous artificial Christmas tree in the lobby that no one has bothered to take down. A new poll has reaffirmed the tight race for Brazil's presidency this year, with both the left-wing incumbent Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva and his right-wing challenger Flávio Bolsonaro tied in a head-to-head contest. On Saturday, Datafolha, the polling firm for the group Folha media conglomerate, released its latest numbers, tracking the candidates' progress in the run-up to October's generation election.
2 presidential campaign staffers have been killed in Colombia just 2 weeks before the South American country heads to the polls. The killings were announced by right-wing presidential candidate Abelardo de la Espriella, who said gunmen on motorbikes shot the victims in the Central Department of Meta on Friday night.
Relations between Pakistan and Afghanistan have been tense since the Taliban took power in 2021. On Monday, Pakistan summoned a senior Afghan diplomat after an attack claimed by the Pakistan Taliban, known by the acronym TPP. The group said it carried out 2 more attacks since, mostly against security forces.
As the Eurovision Song Contest took to the stage for the Saturday night final in Vienna, thousands protested outside against Israel's inclusion, and 5 countries boycotted the event over the genocidal war on Gaza. Pro-protesters marched through the Austrian capital to highlight what critics described as a double standard. The European Broadcasting Union, EBU, organisers refused to exclude Israel, despite banning Russia following its invasion of Ukraine 4 years ago. Have a nice
The vibes around the current AI boom aren't great, even in the tech industry, according to a lengthy social media post from Menlo Ventures partner Didi Das. Das described San Francisco as pretty frenetic right now, as the divide in outcomes is the worst I've ever seen.
A man has driven his car into pedestrians in the northern Italian city of Modena, injuring 8 people, 4 seriously, officials say. They include a woman who reportedly had both her legs crushed.
Latvian President Edgars Rinkēvičs has backed opposition lawmaker Andris Kulbergs to replace Evika Silina for the top job after the Prime Minister resigned over an incident involving Ukrainian drones. Kulbergs, leader of the United List of Smaller Parties, which forms the largest opposition bloc in Parliament, will take office if lawmakers approve him and his cabinet.
Following a visit from United States President Donald Trump to China, the island of Taiwan has issued a statement saying it is sovereign and independent. But Saturday's statement added that Taiwan plans to maintain the cross-strait status quo, under which it will not officially declare independence from China. AI-powered marketing platform Nectar Social announced Thursday that it raised a $30 million Series A round led by Menlo Ventures and its Anthology Fund, which was created alongside Anthropic, the company which officially exited stealth last year, is an agentic operating system for marketers. It told TechCrunch that it uses autonomous AI agents to help brands run social activity, moderation, creator workflows, competitive intelligence, and commerce conversations end-to-end. It also has data partnerships with companies like Meta and Reddit that allows the Nectar agent pull and pool data into one place from various platforms, rather than brands needing to use different tools to manage different platforms.
Shortly after a car ploughed into a crowd of pedestrians in Modena, Italy on Saturday, 4 Italian civilians stepped in and tackled the vehicle's driver, pulling him to the ground, according to the city's mayor. The madman, I don't know what to call him, the criminal who committed this act, he got out of the car brandishing a knife. Mayor Massimo Mezzetti told state-owned news agency RAI. 4 citizens, whom I thank, captured him and handed him over to law enforcement. Some 150,000 people descended on London in September for a rally organised by Tommy Robinson, an agitator who spreads anti-Muslim bigotry and has several criminal convictions. It felt like a watershed moment in British politics. Something in our country changed, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, said at the time. This felt different.
Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has cast his ballot in internal Fatah leadership elections held at the presidential headquarters in Ramallah. The leaders were elected for the movement's Central Committee and Revolutionary Council at the Ahmad Shukairy Hall on Saturday.